So when you fire up a huge blockbuster game, you're just seeing the final polished product, right? But behind the scenes, there's this whole invisible world of adaptation going on. And it's about way more than just translating text. It's really about bridging these massive cultural divides and breaking down barriers, all to make sure a game can be played and loved by everyone everywhere. Today, we're going to peel back the curtain on that hidden world.
And the stakes here, they could not be higher. I mean, we're not talking about some niche hobby. In 2022 alone, the global video game industry pulled in almost $200 billion. To put that in perspective, that's more than the global film and music industries combined. This thing is an absolute cultural juggernaut.
But you know, when an industry gets that massive, you have to ask a pretty critical question. Who is getting left behind? Because the reality is, the way most games are designed creates these huge barriers, which basically locks millions of potential players out of these incredible, amazing worlds. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. This is from a real player who has a visual disability. Just try to imagine playing a game like Minecraft when the screen reader you rely on is completely useless and the audio cues you need to survive just aren't there. That's the reality for so many players, and it really shows this fundamental divide in who actually gets to play. So how do we even start to bridge this gap? Well, the solution isn't as simple as just, swapping out one language for another. To get to true accessibility and a real global reach, you need a much, much deeper level of adaptation. This is where a specialized field called audiovisual translation, or AVT, comes in. You can think of it as both the science and the art of solving these exact kinds of problems. It goes way beyond just the words to make the entire audiovisual experience, the sounds, the sights, the story, fully accessible to people across different languages and for people with different abilities. Now, within AVT, it's super important to understand the difference between two key ideas. On one hand, you have translation. That's just one piece of the puzzle. It's about converting words. But then you have localization, and that's a whole different ballgame. Localization is about adapting the entire experience to make a game feel like it was custom-made for a specific region. It's about culture, symbols, and sometimes even the gameplay itself. And yeah, localization isn't just an all-or-nothing thing. It's really more of a spectrum. At the most basic level, maybe you just get translated packaging and manuals. A step up from that is partial localization, where you get subtitles. That's super common, right? But you're still hearing the original voice actors. The gold standard, though, is full localization. That's the whole shebang, a massive project where every single line of dialogue is re-recorded by new actors, creating a totally seamless, native experience. Okay, so that's what the industry can do. But what about the players themselves? What do players with disabilities actually need to have a fair shot at gaming? Let's take a look at what the data says.
Well, the data here is, wow, it's pretty staggering. It shows this overwhelming demand for one feature in particular. When players with visual disabilities in Spain were surveyed, a whopping 86% said they were interested in having audio description in games. The community has spoken, and they could not be clearer.
So what exactly is audio description, or AD, anyway? Well, it's an accessibility service that basically paints a picture with words. It's an extra narrator track that describes all the crucial visual stuff, like what a character is doing, scene changes, or text on the screen that someone with sight loss would otherwise miss out on. So if you were to design the ideal accessible game, what would it look like? The people in the survey, both players and non-players, were really consistent. They asked for three main things. First, screen readers that actually work for all the menus and text. Second, that all-important audio description for the visuals. And third, better sound design that helps them navigate the world and find important stuff. And this quote right here, it just nails it. These features don't really work in isolation. As this player points out, it's the powerful combination of audio description for the action and a screen reader for the text that really unlocks a truly immersive, playable experience for someone who can't see the screen. But you know what? Physical accessibility is only half the battle. Making a game truly global means you have to navigate this absolute minefield of cultural differences, where one single image or line of dialogue can mean totally different things to people around the world.
This process has a pretty fancy name, non-linguistic culturalization. But all it really means is changing the non-text stuff in a game, like character designs, symbols, or even pulling out entire missions, all to avoid alienating or worse, offending players in a different culture.
Let me give you some quick examples. Take Fallout 3. In the original game, there's a quest where you can literally choose to detonate a nuclear bomb. For the Japanese release, given the country's history, that entire quest was just gone, wiped from the game. It was considered way too culturally insensitive to keep in.
Or how about symbols? In Final Fantasy VIII, a character's costume had a swastika on it, which in Buddhism is a symbol of good luck. But for Western markets, and especially in Germany, that symbol carries an incredibly painful and totally different meaning, so of course it was altered.
Even the characters themselves get changed. In the Japanese horror game Fatal Frame, the main character was a young schoolgirl, which is a pretty common archetype in Japanese media. But for the Western release, the developers made her older and changed her outfit because they figured a more adult-like character would connect better with that audience.
And sometimes the cultural gap is just too wide to cross. The entire release of Fallout 3 in India was cancelled. Why? Because the game had these mutated two-headed cows called Brahmin that you could kill. The name was just too close to the sacred Brahmin cattle, and the publisher decided the risk of causing serious offense was just too high.
So, we've looked at these two huge, parallel challenges: making games physically accessible for people with disabilities and making them culturally accessible for people all over the world. So, what happens when we look at these two challenges together?
And this is really the main takeaway from all of this. Accessibility and localization, they aren't really separate things. They're two sides of the exact same coin. At the end of the day, both are about one thing: thoughtful, empathetic adaptation to meet the specific needs of an audience.
This quote from the research just says it all, perfectly. The ultimate goal isn't just about selling more copies. It's about inclusion. It's about a commitment to making sure that the joy, the challenge, and the community of gaming are open to absolutely everyone, no matter their ability or where they happen to live.
So, we'll leave you with this one last thought. The next time you play a game or even watch a movie, just think about all that unseen work that went into it. And ask yourself, what invisible adaptations are shaping this experience right now, making it feel like it was made just for me?